Tell us about yourself. Where did you study? Family?
I studied in Bashkiria.
Relax, you're like that all the time.
No. I was born in Bashkiria, the city of Kumertau.
How?
Kumertau city, Bashkir
Is
ISSR.
this a big city?
The city, well, there are 100,000 people there.
Relatively big.
Population 100,000. Completed 10 grades. After 10th grade, well, I studied at school, went it for skiing and biathlon. And after that, I entered the Institute of Physical Education.
Where?
Institute of Physical Education. This is in the Rzhepinsky region, the city of Tchaikovsky. I entered there, that's all, I studied. And began to live there, in this city, remained to live further in the future.
And what was your job?
Business. I had my own small business.
Which?
Well, a food product.
Well, like delivery.
Rented a shop from Jews in the city center. There were retail outlets and stalls.
Who did you rent for?
The Jews.
And did the Jews get there?
Yes, sure.
What about the Jews?
Well, they were Jews. They just had a small rental outlet in the city center. So they gave it for rent, took advantage of the moment. There were 3 stalls, so we rented a small shop. I mainly sold food products. I went to Moscow for groceries myself.
From Moscow?
Yes, drove.
In Moscow, food is expensive.
No, well, from wholesale stores. I bought everything from wholesale stores in Moscow and brought it. And made a small markup and lived off of it.
How far is it from Moscow to this city?
1,000 still, 1,200
In terms of
kilometers.
logistics, was it cheaper to go to Moscow to buy?
Yes, yes.
What products?
Well, everything was there. Cigarettes, food, alcohol.
In short, it's cheaper to buy in Moscow and take it
Yes,
there.
you buy a truck, bring it to your warehouse and do everything there.
It's clear. When was this?
This was the case from 1996 to 2004.
From 96 to 2004.
Yes, I had business.
Family, children.
I have a wife, I have a second wife, I have a first wife. There is already a son and granddaughter.
Why did you get divorced?
Well, we were students.
Like this is due to use?
Yes, divorced when we were young, yes.
Second wife?
My wife, we have been living together since 1996 to this day.
Do you have children from the second one?
Not from the second one.
Does she have?
She doesn't have any. We didn't have time.
Didn't have time. What do you mean we didn't have time? What happened? When did it happen? And what happened?
Well, what happened was that I was arrested on suspicion of a series of murders.
Please speak louder.
I was arrested in 2004 in January on suspicion of series of murders with an accomplice.
With an accomplice. How long is the series of murders?
Framed me 9 murders. 9.
Framed 9.
Yes.
How much was it really?
Actually, there was 5. Yes, it really was 5.
Was it really 5 plus 9 or just 9 in total?
4 more added.
For edit.
Yes, they forced me to admit that I participated, but I didn't take part.
How many people have you personally killed?
I didn't kill anyone, I was just cleaning up after my accomplice. I supplied the weapons, I bought the weapons myself.
So, well, I think that in the whole conversation this will probably be the most interesting story. When did it start and because of what can I say serial killer?
Well, it's of course I was also convicted of being a serial killer.
Article
Yes.
105, Part 3.
No, Article 105, Part 2. 162, Part 3, and 222, Part 1.
162.
This is robbery and assault.
And what else?
And weapon 222.
222.
Well, they put a grenade in the car when they were arrested.
It's clear. When did you commit your first crime?
In 2000.
So you were already living with your second wife and doing business.
Yes, I was doing business, yes.
Why did you kill someone?
Well, because I owned an accomplice. He was a former operative. He was the best operative in the city of Tchaikovsky. Once he arrested me for a fight, so to speak.
When was this?
This was in the 90s, somewhere around 95, maybe 94, I can't remember exactly.
In 1995, there was a fight at Tchaikovsky. Did some operative arrested you for a fight?
Not that he arrested me. I had a fight with some criminal person. He had prison tattoos. I was walking my dog, a bull terrier. I just bought a bull terrier. I had a small 6-month-old dog. Even in a small town, her breed was unknown. A man was walking with a Caucasian shepherd. He came up and said to me, "You better get your Morgul out of here, or my dog will eat this dog." I say, "So be it." I knew she could handle the Caucasian. Well, that's it. He set his dog on mine. The Caucasian began to bow the bull terrier. And a squeal squeak, the bull terrier grabbed the neck, the throat of his Caucasian.
Little bull terrier.
Yes, he grabbed the big Caucasian by the throat.
Caucasian.
Yes. And this man took out a pistol and began to shoot the bull terrier dog. I came up, hit him out with a hook and sent him into knockout. I took his gun and left. After
Is the
3
dog
days,
still alive?
certainly.
Didn't he hit?
He
Didn't he hit?
hit. I took the dog and left
And with
with the
the
dog.
pistol?
Yes, of course, and I
What
left
kind
with
of
the
gun was it?
Makarov.
Combat?
Yes. I left with the gun. After 3 days, I was called to the operation department. I rightly understood why they were summoning me. I took the gun, which was taken away from this attacker. I went up to the second floor. There seemed to be a second floor to the operation room. And the victim stood standing with a black eye. Realized that it was because of his statement I was called. I walked in and my future accomplice was there. He told me a statement of robbery has been written against you. I know everything about you, that you're there in the group of athletes.
Were you in a group?
Yes, we had a group of athletes. We controlled the markets. We controlled the market, the central one.
It is the 90s back then.
Yeah, the 90s. Beginning
Walking
of the 90s.
around fighting.
No, we didn't fight. We were just protecting the businessmen. I know everything that you don't drink, don't smoke, and you answer your words. You, he says, have a robbery. It's a sentence of 10 years. He says, you have a family, children. What are we going to do? We'll negotiate or will you go to jail? I say, of course we will negotiate. He pulled the victim and tears up the statement. He says, do you understand? Yes, I got it, that's it. Get out of here. He left. In short, then he says, give me his gun. I brought it with me, gave it to him, and he put it in the drawer. Now he says, you will owe me. He says, I will demand the debt at any moment, at any time. That's it. And I left. Then after some time, maybe even a year or two, maybe more, I don't remember exactly. He called me and said, you need to help me find a weapon and commit a crime.
96.
96. 96 is still the year somewhere. It's the... In 1996, he got into an accident. A man in uniform died there. District police officer, a guy Bogdanov. And my future accomplice was driving. He said, would you say... And I just was in a stall at that time, not far away. I saw this accident and went to help him. He said, let's put this district policeman behind the wheel that he was supposedly driving. That I was supposedly a passenger and accomplice. This is how we put it. Later there was a trial. The employees of the 6th department said that I should testify against my accomplice, and I testified for my accomplice, what I owned him. They say, well, we'll put you in a jail anyway. I refused to cooperate with them and testified for an accomplice. That's it.
What year was it?
I can't remember exactly what year it was.
Well, give or take.
Maybe 96.
That is, we go chronologically.
He was tried, yes. The man who testified against him, he died. There was a witness there, and there was also a taxi
Why did
driver.
he die?
He testified against him.
Was he killed?
Someone killed him, yes.
Someone, as I understand it,
Later it appeared that it was my accomplice who killed that guy.
operative. Was he still a policeman then?
No, they had already fired him. He was no longer a policeman.
Why was he fired?
Well, what he himself... There's something behind him. There was something behind him, I don't know.
Not important.
He was such a hidden person. He was just silent, a good psychologist, the best chess player in the city. Well, not just in the city, but in general, and he was in the colony later, where he served his sentence. He had no equal.
As you say, the best...
The best chess player was in the colony.
Matisse?
Chess player.
Chess
Yes,
player.
a good psychologist. Subtle. He will talk to anyone, persuade anyone.
Well, judging by the fact that he went to prison, he was a lousy psychologist and strategist.
Well, I don't know. He went to jail. Why? Because there we could have gone on the run there. Within 6 months, we already knew who was
Got it.
watching
Let's
us.
move on. Let's take a break. Many people don't know the history of the 90s because it was in fact 30 years ago. Tell us what the 90s are for the younger generation.
The 90s were years where only crime ruled, and this was a school of survival. Many of my peers, they are dead for a long time by now. They were shot.
Who fought with whom, who survived with what, and how this process happened. And why, most importantly, this process occurred. Survival during the 90s.
Because there was unemployment, there was very strong, powerful inflation. Work was difficult to find. Everyone was engaged in commerce. Everyone traded in the markets. And the outlets provided protection. The thieves, so-called prisoners, provided protection. Former prisoners provided protection. And wars happened constantly between prisoners and outlets. Skirmishes. They shot to each other. It happened that they didn't just shoot. It happened that you come to a restaurant, celebrate something, and clashes begin among themselves, and they kill each other. People got taken out in trunks. That's
In
all.
short, the story, very briefly in a nutshell. USSR collapsed. In essence, let's call it that a kind of anarchy raged. The streets lived their own lives. The police were in fact without money because they were paid pennies. And in fact, the criminal world ruled the police. They bribed, negotiated, divided cities, distributed spheres of influence. Some were selling gasoline, some were protection rackets, some were selling drugs. All this was divided into clans, the so-called athletes. Karate was popular back then, right?
Yes.
The first VCRs and cassettes had just appeared. Hello to the youth who don't even know what it is. What films did you watch there?
We watched mostly action movies.
Action movies, Bruce Lee
Bruce
and
Lee, yes.
Commando,
Chuck
Chuck Norris, Jackie Chan, or so on.
All this happened in photo salons.
There were photo salons and underground video libraries.
Yes, it was.
And it all came together like this. The police then really being a powerless organ that stood on the sidelines and did not interfere because the criminal world and outlets opened the doors to the police from their feet and told them what would happen. Right?
And the police themselves was involved
Yes, definitely.
with crime.
The police themselves regulated the most important scams.
And extorted money and provided protection.
Everything intertwined together, and this is how it turned out. As a result, in 1996, in fact, your first crime occurred, which is called forgery of evidence.
Yes, given false testimony.
Was it credited to you?
No, they didn't credit it to me, but they say they will repay you. They'll definitely put me in prison.
Repaid?
Yes, sure. They even met then with me and said, remember, we offered you to work with us and not with him. But they did not understand that by working with them, you would not be alive in the future, because the accomplices removed the unwanted ones.
Yes, in short, they transferred the body in an accident.
I helped them move
Yes,
the body.
so automatically became an accomplice in that case. This was the first crime.
Yes.
The second crime was when?
The second case was in 2000, in the month of May. There was a family murder.
Murder of a family.
Yes.
Who was killed?
A friend of mine was there. His wife and child were there.
How old was the child?
I don't know how old the child was.
Well, little one.
Little, yes.
Was he killed too?
Yes, he was killed too. Maybe 10, 11 years old.
With your permission.
Huh?
With your permission. I was just checking. With your permission, I asked. Uh-huh. Who killed?
Accomplice.
For what?
We came to look for the person who was looking after the common fund. That is, he was holding the common fund. They had to sort it out.
Did you come together?
Yes, we came together. And accomplice was killed. Also athletes. Master of sports, hand-to-hand combat. Lavrov. I remember his last name, Lavrov, yes. He was a good hand-to-hand fighter. Normal guy. And we went to the person we came to. He should have been in this apartment who committed the murder of this man.
Why did he go there?
Deal with him.
To deal to kill?
Yes.
For what?
Take him out, sort him out, and kill him, that he committed the murder of his accomplice.
Have you come to take revenge for your accomplice? What was the accomplice's name? Yours.
The accomplice's name was Vitaly
Yurievich. Just
Super.
player.
Yes, he is still in jail on a life sentence, broken.
What? In jail on a life sentence, broken?
Yes.
We
Crippled.
will get to it, right?
Yes, sure.
It will probably be an interesting and long story.
Well, we came to the apartment. He was not in that apartment. It turned out to be the same. He is usually always resting in this apartment. His friend was there. He didn't seem to be in there. The accomplice decided to beat out the info from this man about where he was.
Just some dude? Was
Huh?
the random dude in the
No,
apartment?
he is not a random dude. He lived in this apartment. He rented an apartment. And who he was looking for was his friend.
Further.
So he stayed with him and sent me to another room to keep an eye on the child. This man and woman were taken into the kitchen. There he began to interrogate.
How old were they?
Well, I don't know how old they were. Maybe 40 years old. Something like that. 40
Left to
maybe.
interrogate.
Yeah, well, he's an operative. Something didn't work out with him, so he shot this one himself first.
Was it an apartment in a multi-story
Yeah,
building?
there is an apartment in a multi-story building.
Shots?
The pistol had silencer.
Well, you can still hear it.
No. The pistols were small and had a silencer. In short, he killed both of them. I say the child has woken up, but still shots are heard. Maybe you can hear them. I don't know. Child went to the toilet, in short, and he saw us. I say, the baby is awake. He says, don't worry. I stayed in the kitchen. He left. He returned. Everything is fine. Let's leave. We left. We didn't took anything.
And you just left the corpses.
Yes. We left the corpses.
What happened next?
Then it happened like this. 2002. April 1st, he calls me late at
Are
night.
you still running the store?
Of course, I run my own business. He called me on April 1st, 2002.
Did your wife know what you were doing?
No, when she saw my accomplice for the first time, she said, don't even think about messing with him. His eyes are kind of unhealthy. He's a very unpleasant person.
When did she see him for the first time?
Yes, she said.
When?
I don't remember. In some 90s, maybe
I
in
understand.
the 2000s.
Uh-huh.
He came to my house once. Just ring the doorbell and that's it. She opened the door, never again. April 1st, 2002, he called me at home either early in the morning or late at the night. I don't remember. Like early in the morning. You need to, he says, drive up in your car.
Uh-huh.
I say, something urgent, need to get there urgently. That's it, I drove up to him. I went into his apartment. He was standing to the waist, naked, covered in blood. I say, what happened? Well, come in, come in. I go into the apartment. There is a corpse. Man too, stripped to the waist, covered in blood, is also really a corpse. Dead.
Man?
Man, yes. He also looked similar in build to my accomplice. He was the same, frail. I say, what happened? He said, this guy was hunting us. Allegedly, he was watching us like some kind of informer. He had a beer with him and he offered him a knife fight. And in a knife fight, in short, he killed him. One blow of the knife hit it in the heart. I say, what do you want? He says, let's take this to the bench and leave him there. I say, you're crazy. They can figure you out instantly. Well, he was little drunk. He was drunk. Okay, do whatever you want with him. Went to bed. Well, he didn't care at all.
I realized that if he was drunk, then he didn't care.
I decided to roll him into the carpet. They had a carpet, so I took it, rolled it up in a carpet, put it in the car, and took it to the garage. Then I went to the store, bought myself a boat, an ox, and dismembered this man. Dismembered him, left for the hydroelectric station in the morning. I took the dogs with me. My dogs were mastiffs. I put the dogs in the car. It was so cold outside on
Why
April
dogs?
1st. Dogs weighed 100 kilograms as guards, so that if the police pulled me down, the police officers would not be able to check the contents of the
Logical.
car.
Huge dog just sitting in the car.
Yes. I took this man outside the hydroelectric station. I was pulled over at a hydroelectric power station. They asked where I was going. I say I'm going to walk with the dogs. I can't walk them in the city because the dogs are aggressive. I walk with them near the water. They swim there.
At April.
Yes, everything there was covered in ice. The fishermen are swimming. I got on the boat. The man who was dismembered was in my bags in a bag. So I thrown at him his remains.
There were stones in the bag, you threw the bag away and it thrown it like that.
No, it was in bags. And I simply lowered the bags. They went under the water. There were holes in the bags. He went to the bottom.
Did they get it later?
Yeah, they got him later. They didn't know whose crime it was. Then I wrote the appearance myself.
It's clear. This was the second crime. Third.
The third crime we committed in the city of Izhevsk, in Udmurtia, Udmurt-SR. There we met drug dealers who sold marijuana. They say that there are similar dealers selling marijuana of Georgian nationality. But they sell marijuana at the railway station. They have a lot of money. At least $1 million. The accomplices decide to rob them in short. We waited in principle. We did not figure it out for long, maybe a day or two. Everything was spontaneous. We were in the attic. The day was a weekend like Saturday. We were in the attic. That's it. This Georgian comes out with a bucket of garbage to take out the trash. Accomplice immediately kills him, shoot him in the head. I say, why did you kill him? How are we going to take money from him and look for it? He says, I am an operative or what? I'll find everything. Everything will be fine. We go into the apartment and bring in the corpse of this guy. Killed him with one shot. He's a good shot. So he killed this Georgian. We take this Georgian into the apartment. We search the apartment. It's one-room apartment. We didn't find anything and left. It was empty.
What did you do with the corpse?
We left it in the apartment. Locked the apartment and
How
left.
about the evidence?
No, there was no evidence. Everything was clean.
What year was this?
It was already somewhere in 2002.
This is the third. Further.
That's it. The rest of the crimes were set-ups. They were just framed stupidly. No framing agreed. Like we need to tie it up with your accomplice.
So the first crime, 3 corpses, a family. The second crime, heart was stabbed. You dismember it, and then third crime, like a drug dealer.
And more briefly, the crime involved the fact that they killed their accomplice. They killed an accomplice who also took part in the attack on this apartment. He was sitting behind the wheel of a car. His accomplice suspected that he was collaborating with the police. The fact that we left the weapons in his apartment, he rented a house in the garden, and he lived there. And they left the weapon there. And when we went to get weapons, we didn't have enough ammo. So, and as it turned out, this is what we learned from the case materials, that he decided to show off the weapon in front of his friends and shoot. There was a rifle with a silencer. Well, the accomplice noticed that it was missing. He started stabbing him like, you're a drug addict, you're collaborating with the police and all that. At this time, when I went to the store to buy alcohol, I went to take my accomplice's beer.
You come and there's a corpse there again.
I comes, yes, he's already finishing him off,
What did he do with the corpse?
Well, he finished it off and went to bed drunk again. I dismembered that accomplice again. Buried it close to home. In a high-rise building. In the evening.
Has anyone seen it?
People passed by and saw that I was digging a hole.
Well, it's logical.
They asked, what is this? Why are you digging a hole here? I said, dig a hole to bury the dog. I bought a bag, a big one, in a store. Buried it, put it in a bag, and buried it with the bag just like that, in this grave.
Was it dug up later?
It was not excavated. They couldn't dig it up for a long time. They couldn't find it for a long time. Also, the drug dealers knew that we killed him and buried him. They regularly knew the area where. They also worked for the police, which we committed on the Georgians. This was a provocation toward the police. At the request of the drug dealer.
The police asked the drug dealer to eliminate him. Did the police order the murder of a Georgian through a drug dealer?
They did in order to kill the Georgian. They provoked the robbery to take place to tie us up there.
Why didn't they tie you up there?
We just committed a spontaneous crime. We didn't observe anything. We did everything quickly. Haven't calculated as usual for months.
I see. When were you arrested?
I was arrested on January 27, 2004.
2004.
Yes, I trained there near the stadium. I was at training. I went out to the car. Sober arrested me. I knew in advance that I would be arrested. I was empty.
How did you know that you would be arrested?
There was external surveillance.
Did you spot it?
I immediately spotted the surveillance. They were in cars, and there were Templars too. I spotted them and told my accomplice that we were being watched. He said I was crazy, but then he also noted that there was surveillance. I suggested that we would have to go on the run. He says better not to do that. Everything will be fine. They won't prove anything. All is clear.
Did they prove it?
No, they haven't proven it. They didn't prove anything. Our investigator for particularly important cases, I even remember his last name. The first one was Krasnov. He couldn't handle us. Also, he brought false witnesses. It was a random drug addict who satisfied. They didn't succeed. The lawyer was good. By the way, they killed our lawyer.
Who killed the lawyer?
Police did. They say that tomorrow you will stop smiling. This Krasnov, the investigator, for particularly important matters. After the interrogation, I said that bring more such witnesses, drug addicts. Everything will be fine. The lawyer said that if there are more witnesses like this, you will sit in jail, not him. He went out to smoke, lawyer. The investigator said that tomorrow you will stop smiling. Tomorrow everything will be changed. The next morning, operatives come to me at 5 o'clock in the morning, pull me into the interrogation room. Come and say, do you want to say goodbye to your wife before death? I say, I don't understand. The wife, she is lying in intensive care, dying. The lawyer, he says, died on the spot, in accident. That is,
Where was your wife?
she was in intensive care.
Did she and the lawyer were together?
Yes, my lawyer and wife were driving back from my interrogation. The police car crashed into them.
The police?
Yes, party wagon or something. I don't know. The lawyer died on the spot and wife suffered a fractured skull. She was dying in intensive care. The staff say
Is this your first wife?
the second wife, who is waiting for me.
You say she died.
She was dying.
She was dying.
In intensive care, yes. They told me that if you want to see her, you have to testify against your accomplice. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. For some reason, they brought me to the prosecutor office. They don't take me to intensive care. It's already about 6 a.m. The investigator for special imported cases is sitting with a smile on his face. There is already a protocol and a date. All that remains is to satisfy and sign. I say I don't understand. Where did you take me? We agreed that first I'll go to the intensive care unit, then I'll give my testimony. They say no, first you'll give your testimony, then to the intensive care unit. I say no, take me out. I say I won't testify against my accomplice. They say, what about your spouse? I say, how can I help her? In short, they took me away. After 3 months, I saw my wife. During the extensions of the investigation, when the investigation was extended, she stood thin, very thin. She lost 15 kilograms of weight. Very plain, thin, everything. She survived. That the accident was provoked, she said. She had a plate placed in her skull. The ear was sewn up, that's all. So she hired 2 lawyers for me.
What did your wife do?
She started doing business after me. She also had a business. Subsequently, the business went down. She stopped going to Moscow and it became unprofitable to buy from the bases.